Hello, everyone. Azazel Selfson here. And by now, you've probably heard the news that, unfortunately, Akira Toriyama has passed away. He was the creator of Dragon Ball, and I wanted to give a bit of my history with his series to sort of honor that. I was born on June 25th, 1990, and as any kid born in the 90s would be able to tell you, that was right at the beginning of the manga and anime craze, specifically with regards to televised, localized anime series like Dragon Ball, of course, and then you had series like Pokemon, Digimon, Sailor Moon, etc., etc. A lot of these were heavily censored. I think Sailor Moon had a lesbian couple in it that were changed to cousins because of, well, you probably can understand the uh, the reasons for censoring that, but that's neither here nor there. You can tell this is really not scripted. No, this is already my second try with this particular, trying to get my thoughts out. I very likely discovered Dragon Ball by complete accident. It was right at the start of Toonami. And to put this into perspective, this would have been before Tom. Tom of Toonami did not exist. I remember the day they introduced him. And then I remember the day he got reworked. His, and he got fucking lore in that goddamn spaceship of his. I remember Space Ghost being a part of it. I hope that puts a bit of perspective into where I was at the time. Shows like Courage the Cowardly Dog probably finished airing and then switched over to Toonami late that Saturday night and started with Dragon Ball Z. And I distinctly remember Fight the Dragon, the opening theme in America, playing. Now, I very likely started the series partway through the Android or the Cell arc. Somewhere in the Cell saga. I can't remember exactly. It could have been Namek, but I do remember GT. Very fondly, might I add. And I must have been like 7 or 8 at the time. And the thing is, Akira Toriyama, his series would go on to become one of the most, no, the most influential series to ever exist. It it introduced tropes and character archetypes that are still being used to this day, like the tournament arc. He pretty much invented the tournament arcs. Which pretty much every shonen manga and anime out there has utilized in some aspect or another. I think Dragon Slayer and Attack on Titan are the only real exceptions to that. And that's because those series don't focus on that kind of personal improvement. They're very different when you compare them to their contemporaries. Hell, there are even some anime like the Love Ueki no Hosoku, that their entire series is a tournament. And the world became a lot less first as of March 1st. It became a lot less fun. You see, the thing about me as a stupid American kid was that I didn't even realize that those series weren't American, that they were from overseas, from Japan specifically. But it put this idea in my head, in the back of my brain. I knew these were different, but I couldn't really explain why. As any fan of cartoons would be able to tell you, uh, what makes Japanese animation and American animation so different is that American animation tends to focus more on comedy and episode by episode stories, and they don't have a narrative. You take like Ed, Ed and Eddie for example. Sometimes you'll get a little bit of continuity, uh, and some kind of character development later on, but for the most part, characters remain the same. They say the same things, etc., etc. Japanese animation is different from that regard. It was closer to something like Batman, the animated series, where there was a narrative. There was this overarching narrative that each episode would build into, and you would get these end of episode, next episode previews. And let's be honest, we all looked up to Goku. He is an aspiring role model to look up to. It doesn't matter if you're obsessed with martial arts, if you're an artist and want to be like Akira Toriyama or something else. The way you can apply Goku's philosophy of personal improvement to anything. He had this unending thirst for knowledge that just could not be contained. And you can apply that same kind of discipline to anything. Akira Toriyama will be missed. He was a huge part of my childhood. He is probably the reason I am a VTuber right now. Probably the reason I'm even into anime. I do not know if I would have watched Pokemon or Digimon or even Sailor Moon had I not seen Dragon Ball first. When I was a child, this was I forget the program's name, but we had peer-to-peer file sharing when the internet first came out. Piracy was a huge thing. One of the songs I downloaded was, and I looked up the original Japanese opening for Dragon Ball Z, and what I got was Dan Dan Kokoro Hikarateku. Now, as we all know, that wasn't the opening theme for Dragon Ball Z, it was the opening theme for GT. As an idiot kid, I didn't know this because it was literally labeled original opening DBZ. So I had no idea it was the wrong show. I went to sleep with that song on loop every night for 4 years. It is an immensely nostalgic song to me, something that I listen to occasionally to this day. And I want to end all this by saying thank you, Akira Toriyama. Thank you for helping shape the person I became today, for introducing me to this wonderful genre of series. Thank you.